Hello, everybody. This is Brian Engelman with the New American Media here at 2018 Politicon in Los Angeles, California. And we're doing a man on the street. We're trying to put our finger on the pulse of what's going on, what people are thinking about as we head toward the midterm elections in 2018. So we have two politically minded people that stopped and wanted to talk with us today. Could you please introduce yourselves?
I'm Kira Ennis.
And I'm Candace Camper, a former candidate against Maxine Waters.
Mad Max. Now, this is interesting. You said a former candidate. Explain how that went. What was that process?
They are disenfranchising blacks in Los Angeles, California. They're trying to stop black Americans from voting is what they're trying to do. And I was the only black Republican candidate woman in the state of California, and they disenfranchised the only black woman. So that ought to tell you right there what they are doing to the black American race. If they can't even support the only black woman, we have a problem.
What about you? What do you feel about this?
Oh, like I said before the camera started rolling, I despise that woman entirely, not because of anything personal. It is her policies, it is her political views, it is that she represents one of the most undereducated, underemployed, absolute blank-hold regions, and yet she lives in a luxury mansion in Holmby Hills, Beverly Hills. You know, this woman beyond is the true definition of not only a sellout, a race trader, an Uncle Tom, and a house you know what, and yet Candace and I will be the first ones, they're the first ones to call us that because we want to speak the truth and not claim victimhood, yet she is selling out her people day by day. She's supposed to represent poor, women, and the disenfranchised, yet the poor have gotten poorer under her. Women have become more vulnerable under her. The disenfranchised have become more disenfranchised. She is in no way representing anybody's interest but her own. She, in my opinion, is no better than Hillary. They look out for themselves. They look out for their own. She is not for black people. She's not for white people. She's not for anybody but Maxine. Explain to me how a woman who doesn't even live in the district she's supposed to represent is not only living in a lavish mansion, but is allowing her people to live in squander. Black people are now beginning to wake up and search. We're at 36+% of support for President Donald John Trump, and yet she would lie to those people who have an opening. Finally, there's somebody, a president, left or right. It was going to be a right, let's just be honest, who was daring to look past the fake news media and say, African Americans, you have voted 60+, the better part of 100 years for Democrats. What have you gotten? Have you gotten better? Take on me. What have you got to lose? And black people started to wake up and say, yeah, what do we have to lose? And now we're at almost 40%. And she and the ones that are trying to reach up and be better and better themselves on each and every front, she would put her foot on their throat and say, no, House, you know what? You're going to stay in your place because I'm Maxine and I said so, because you'll be labeled a House, you know what, if you step out of line. We'll send the dogs after you. The modern day dogs that they would send out when you were slaves are now Chris Matthews and Don Lemon. The modern day slaves, the modern day overseers of the slave plantation, that is the political slave plantation of the left, they send out the dogs to keep people in place. Few black people like myself, like Candace, like the other Candace, like Charles Payne, like Niger Ennis, like Deneen Borelli. Few of us are out there willing to come out and say, yes, we're conservative. Yes, we believe in the ideology of the conservative right. And no, we're not ashamed of it. Call us coons all you want. We don't care. We want to uplift our people.
And then when I was out getting my signatures to be placed on the ballot, when I was getting my signatures, I went into an all-black community on purpose because I wanted to see what the black community, what support I would get from the black community. 90% of my signatures were black Americans who were Democrats in her community. So that tells you right there that the black Americans in Maxine Waters' community, they wanted change. I met black women that were living in their cars. I met women that were coming out of the McDonald's to wash themselves because they were homeless. But they said that my signatures in that community did not qualify. But I had the Election Integrity Project look up my signatures. All the black signatures were in the voting system. So what they did was they disenfranchised me and all the black Americans basically telling us that we are not qualified to vote, but as they sign up illegal immigrants to vote. So they are putting illegal immigrants that aren't qualified to vote before black Americans to vote. So that's a whole nother issue.
Well, I mean, another issue is that she's calling to go confront these people, cause a scene, get up in their face. There's an Archer meme, you know, it's like, if you want this, then go ahead and try that. It's like, if you want violence and bad stuff to happen, why don't you keep poking people with sticks while, like, this is a bad idea what she's pushing.
Let me tell you something else. I went to the gang members, okay? In order to deal with that district, you have to reach out to the gang members. Let's just keep it real. Okay, you can't just go into Inglewood, Watts, and Compton and not deal with the gang members. I'm not going to say specifically, but I had dinner with one of the top gang members in that district who support me. And his whole family supported me and was going to back me. They were going to speak to the other gang members. You have to deal with the gang members, and I had that support. But I didn't have support from anywhere else. Maxine Waters is working with the gang members. Trust me, because you have to deal with the gang members in that district, because gang members are in Inglewood, they're in Watson, and in Compton. There's nothing that we can do about that.
Well, they say the biggest gang out there is the 535 that sit in Congress and run their games behind the scenes. But so you're seeing a bit of a change, though. You have some hope, some energy. Like what is
let me tell you. According to the gang members that I spoke with, they said let her slide for 2020. I mean, let her slide until 2020. So she's going to get in. She's going to get in because the gentleman she's running against, he ran against her twice. They're not going to let him in. According to the gang members, it's control over there. It's all about control. They're not going to let him get in. She's going to be in another term. People just can cancel Christmas. Then maybe they want me to run in 2020. I may run in 2020. I don't know. If I don't get the support that I was supposed to get, I don't know if I'm going to run. But I am the only black woman that was running against her, and I could have beat her.
And I will say, in terms of, I do hope that she does win, but I do not hope that they let her slide for 2020. The people of her district cannot afford to have her sliding for one more second, let alone 2 more years. But you asked if things are changing in specifically the black community, what I call the brown community, because look at that, that's the color of our skin. But in the brown community, in all the different brown
And I'm more peach, by the way. I'm not white either. I'm just
papaya smoothie.
Papaya smoothie?
That's what I was told.
I'll take it.
That's what I was told. But the people are really beginning to experience an awakening, beginning to experience a surge. 36% of black people support Donald Trump. 40+% of Hispanics now support Donald Trump. So the people are beginning to wake up, and I think it's because of the 60,000+ American citizens that have lost their lives due to being murdered by illegal aliens in their activity. Since 9/11, we've lost 60,000+ of our own people, but no one reports on that.
Necessary. It never needed to happen.
And because black people are getting pushed out of their homes, they're getting undereducated, they're being forced to live in tents. We now have tent cities all throughout Los Angeles. As I was coming here today, I saw nothing but lines and lines of tent cities. Black people are starting to say, well, wait a minute. It's not the Republicans pushing for all these illegal aliens to come here and push us out of our homes and get free education, free health care, free academic care. That should go to us. We're the ones who fought to have equality and a seat at the table at this country. Why are illegal aliens coming here and getting all things that we deserve? That's not fair. And that's what's causing more of the surge, because President Donald Trump is saying, look, I want to build the wall. I want to build it at least 100 feet tall. But Congress is not letting me. The rhinos and the Dems are blocking me at every form. And thus, we have a big gaping Swiss cheese border. And tons of migrants are already currently in caravans coming here now. And for the only purpose of that, because we care about them. The Democrats don't care. They want votes. That's all they want them for, are votes. Right. They can rig our election. Talk about Russia. How is not a foreign illegal alien voting in our election not foreign interference? Please.
That's a great question.
And it's causing blacks to wake up. Even legal Hispanics are waking up.
I forgot to add, my son was stabbed on Friday by an illegal alien. 2 of them jumped him at the bus stop. 3 weeks prior to that, my son was almost robbed by an MS-13 that just got out of prison. So they are attacking our black American children. Okay, my son, he's a good boy. He's not, a rough, rowdy boy or anything like that. They had no right. I'm on my way here Friday. I get a text from my son. Mom, I just got stabbed by 2 Mexicans. My heart dropped to the ground. And these are the kind of people that you are allowing into our country to stab and kill our children. That is my baby that was stabbed just this Friday. No one reached out to us or anything. They took a police report, but the majority of the police are protecting them because they're all Hispanic. Okay, they are disenfranchising even black men from joining the police department. The majority of the police department are Hispanics, so they're protecting each other to attack our children. So this is the danger that we are dealing with in our home country. They are attacking and stabbing and, Lord knows, killing our children. Something has to be done. We have to vet these people. If my son, who's a black child, does something illegal, he's going to jail. He's held accountable for his actions. These are legal immigrants. Aliens. They aren't being held accountable for their actions. They can just come into this country and do whatever they want, but our children are reprimanded for the things that they do. Black Americans, Bill and Hillary Clinton imposed a 3-strike rule for black Americans and white Americans. 3 strikes and you're out. There's a lot of black men serving 20 and life sentences in jail because of Bill and Hillary Clinton. So our children are being locked up in jail, killed, and brutalized as they allow these illegal immigrants to get away with murder. No way will I stand and let this happen. Our black American ancestors paved the way for any migrant to come over here. Martin Luther King March. Abraham Lincoln imposed the 1866 Civil Rights Act for black Americans who are descendants of chattel slaves. They put it in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment for black Americans. That is not for illegal immigrants or LGBT. That is for black Americans and our families.
And can I just say, I do love and respect our boys in blue. I'm very much pro-police, and I believe that, if what she's saying has merit, it wouldn't even be an issue, anybody covering up a crime, if the criminals weren't allowed to come across our border in the first place. We have enough of our own criminals in our country. We have enough of our own debt to deal with. Why exacerbate the problems, make them worse by trucking in thousands and thousands and thousands of illegal aliens, nothing more than votes? The Democrats want to usher in socialism. It kills everywhere it's allowed to take a foothold. No country's been able to do it, and yet those who would argue against American exceptionalism would say, well, that's because America hasn't tried it yet. Well, if you're saying that every other place tries it and fails, but America can do it better, then isn't that invoking American exceptionalism? I'm just asking the question.
Interesting.
But that's what they're wanting to usher in. They want to usher in socialism, and they need the votes. They know that Americans will not vote for Democrats anymore, so they have to usher in criminals to do it. So they can get the numbers to then promote their socialist agenda on the platform, on American soil, where Americans fought and bled to get away from dictative tyranny, which is what socialism is. I believe our boys in blue deserve a lot more credit than they're getting, and I believe that but for illegals coming here in the first place, you wouldn't have my friend getting, her son getting stabbed, and thus there would not be a potential cover-up with certain police, because there would not be that much more excess crime. The most important political platform, the most important political issue of our day isn't so much the debt is important. Roe v. Wade, rolling it back is important. Trying to stop, the LGBT from propagandizing to our kids is important. But if we don't continue to have a legitimate voice and a legitimate voting process held where only Americans get to speak and have a voice, then none of that's going to matter. If we let all of these illegal aliens in to usher in socialism, you're going to have mandated abortions. You're going to have mandated stripping of your guns. You're going to have mandated LGBT propaganda. You're going to have none of these things will even matter if people are fighting hard against it. And I tip my hat to all of them if we let socialism in. And that's what the Democrats are ushering in Mexicans and other Hispanics to do. They're ushering them in to make sure that they get the numbers to usher in socialism. That is the big evil elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about.
Elephant, donkey, Republican, Democrat.
It's a big donkey in the room.
Big donkey.
That no one wants to talk about. And that's what I hope people realize. This upcoming midterm is the most important one of our lives. I don't care if you're left, I don't care if you're right, libertarian, I don't care if you're a disaffected Democrat, which there are a lot of disaffected Democrats. I don't care what you are. If you are an American citizen, be born here or you came here from Uganda, you have a stake in the bettering of this country. This ship is one that you're aboard to, and if it sinks, so do you.
If it sinks, we all sink in this.
We cannot allow there to be any more footholds for the Democrats to gain. They've already done enough damage. We have to unite and create the red tsunami that I do believe is coming in both the House and the Senate. And with that, I will say thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for taking the time. Final word.
Yeah, and as a daughter of a Vietnam veteran, just like my father fought for all Americans, I am standing up and fighting for my country and all Americans because we only have one America.
It's our own swimming pool. We don't want to be peeing in it.
Ancestors, like my father, they've paved the way for us.
So now we have to pay it forward.
We have to pay it forward for our children and our grandchildren and our great-great-grandchildren.
And
I want to also note, too, this is very important. Okay, just because your skin color is brown does not mean that you're a black American. Okay, we have a lot of people with brown skin that are now glopped into the African American race, which they are not. There's only one black American race, descendants of chattel slaves, and our descendant children. People that are like the Muslims, Somalians, people from France, Jamaica, Caribbean, they are saying that they are Americans once they come over here, but they are not the descendant Americans. They cannot replace our black American children. Our black American children come first. Our American children come first. Migrant children, they come after our children. We have to protect our children as our ancestors protected us in our home country. This is our home country. You can't come take away, you have a home country. This is our home country for us and our children. You can't come replace us and our children. So it's important as Americans that we come together as Americans because Americans first, and that means our children come first also.
And speaking of children, I'm sorry to hear about what you said with your child. And this was an interesting perspective. This just kind of happened, and we appreciate your enthusiasm, your passion, and between you and me, anybody that's going to oppose Maxine Waters to get anything slightly more rational than completely bat-esque crazy, I'm a fan of. So thank you very much for taking a moment here.
You're welcome.
And thank you for speaking your message to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
God bless USA.